Oxygen on Venus, an incredible find backed up 17 times. Wearable tech helping astronauts find themselves, and a rogue star thought to be heading our way now isn't. The reanalysis that saved our future selves. It's Wednesday, November 8, 2023. These are the science and space headlines you need to know now. German researchers say oxygen has been detected on both the day and night sides of Venus. They found during one Venus day, which is 243 Earth days, carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide are broken down on the day side of the planet and are then transported over to the night side. The team analysed 17 points on both sides of our other planetary neighbour and say the oxygen was detected at all locations, with the highest concentrations being 100 kilometres above the surface. The European Space Agency's EUCLID telescope has unveiled its first in-mission colour images of the universe. Mission scientists in Germany revealed the telescope's first 5 images of various areas of the universe, and while this isn't EUCLID's first batch, with those first test images released at the end of July, these certainly prove just what the telescope is capable of. The aim of EUCLID is to unlock the mysteries of dark matter and dark energy by studying countless galaxies up to 10 billion light years away. The field of view of this telescope is almost 100 times that of James Webb, with a single frame taking in an eye-watering 600 million pixels. NASA has released a new time-lapse of its Artemis II vehicle assembly, showing the twin rocket boosters each clocking in at around 150 tonnes and between 8 to 10 metres tall, being hoisted into position as the first crewed lunar mission in 50 years inches ever closer. 5 segments will make up each booster once fully assembled, with the design lineage tracing its origins back to the space shuttle, but adding an extra segment on its predecessor. Work now turns to the aft assembly work underway at Kennedy Space Centre's Rotation, Processing and Surge facility. Meanwhile, the 4-person crew of Artemis II is continuing their training aboard Orion simulators ahead of the 2024 mission. New images from the James Webb Space Telescope have helped Australian astronomers unlock secrets of how infant galaxies started an explosion of star formation in the very early universe. Some early galaxies were abundant with a gas that glowed so bright it outshone emerging stars. In research published this week, astronomers have now discovered just how prevalent these bright galaxies were some 12 billion years ago. Previously, astronomers struggled to get a clear picture of galaxies from around 2 billion years of the universe's age. As many stars had yet to form, the task was made more difficult, with many fewer galaxies to focus on. The research relied on data obtained as part of the JWST Advanced Deep Extragalactic Survey, or JADES, which is exploring the universe of the earliest galaxies with deep infrared imaging and multi-object spectroscopy. It opens the way for further insights. In space, astronauts are at risk of becoming disorientated without the usual cues that tell them what's up, what's down, and in the wrong circumstance, this can be deadly. While astronauts are given intensive training to manage this risk, international researchers have developed wearable sensors called vibrotactors, which they say could help the learning process and assist out in space. The sensors were tested by recruiting 30 people, 10 of whom were given training, 10 given the tech and 10 receiving both. The participants were then given a challenge of keeping a multi-axis rotation device steady while undergoing sensory deprivation. While all participants were initially disorientated by the challenge, the researchers say those with the vibrotactors eventually began performing better, with the group with both the sensors and the training performing the best. Large, dense blobs embedded in the Earth's mantle may be evidence of a giant collision between the ancient protoplanet Theia and a proto-Earth about 4.5 billion years ago, which is believed to have formed the Moon, according to international researchers. The team used computer simulations to show that 2 regions of Earth's mantle, which are between 2 and 3.5% denser than the surrounding mantle, could be the buried relics of Theia, which were were deposited during the impact. These dense regions may be a natural consequence of the moon forming giant impact, the authors suggest, with the potential for this process to occur in other planetary bodies. Well, last year, researchers calculated the trajectory of rogue white dwarf WD-0810-353 and predicted that it would encounter our solar system in around 29,000 years. However, new analysis of the data suggests that not only is the star not going to pose a risk, it's likely not heading in our direction at all. The key to this misinterpretation seems to lie in the unusually large magnetic field emanating from the star, which can play havoc with our reading of the red or blue shift of the electromagnetic spectrum. Now, redshift indicates a move away from us, and blue shift indicates movement towards us. New analysis used the Focal Reducer and Low Dispersion Spectrograph 2 instrument on the Very Large Telescope in Chile to clear up the spectra of WD-0810-353 and discover the magnetic field in all its detail. Well, we are podcasting on YouTube and across every podcast app. Find each of TrekZone's shows on Google or Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and more. Plus, TrekZone's channel in the iTunes library gives you a one-stop shop for all of our goodness. So jump onto your favourite podcast app, find TrekZone, and subscribe. On YouTube, membership continues to be available, early access for less than a cup of coffee per month. And of course, our social media feeds always have the week's podcast highlights and Star Trek episodes. This is our 20th year to the world. We are TrekZone. I am Matt Bella, going boldly since 2003.